You feel it, don't you? That tightness in your chest when you walk into a room and no one looks up, like your presence doesn't echo. That's not depression. That's dormant dominance. You were never weak. You were untrained, undirected, unarmed. They told you to smile more, shrink more, agree more, but all they did was carve a docile man out of your raw potential. That voice inside you, the one whispering, "This isn't who I really am." That voice is your rebirth begging for war. Every day you tolerate this version of yourself is a day you give your enemies an advantage. You weren't built for permission. You were built for precision. They dressed your hunger in shame and called it maturity. But the truth is, they feared what you could become if you stopped playing nice. You've been underestimated not because you're incapable, but because you've been silent for too long. Silent in the wrong way. This isn't motivation, it's a declaration of war. You don't need comfort, you need control. No more hoping for change. You become the change, silently, violently, and without mercy for the version of you that begged for crumbs. They don't respect the nice man. They respect the one they can't figure out, the one who disappears to rebuild and returns unrecognizable. Machiavelli didn't write for the broken-hearted. He wrote for the strategist, the predator, the one who smiles while planning the kill. That's who you must become now. Not loud, not seen, just disciplined, quiet, surgical, relentless. They won't see you coming, and that's exactly why they'll fear you. Because starting now, you don't heal, you reconstruct. Silently, let's start it. Number 1, burn the old you. Who told you to shrink? Who taught you that being silent made you safe, that dimming your presence was noble, that being agreeable made you a man? Somewhere along the way, you swallowed the idea that blending in would keep you alive, but all it's done is kill you quietly. You weren't born to play backup to your own life. You were just conditioned to forget you were fire in human form. And now you walk like smoke, fading at the edges, waiting for permission to exist. Let me be clear. There's no future in who you are right now. The man you've become? He's a result of compromises, stacked like tombstones. Every fake smile, every nod when you wanted to speak, every time you swallowed your instincts, they built this version of you. Polished, controlled, neutered, but beneath it all is a version of you they buried, the one who doesn't ask, doesn't beg, doesn't kneel. That version is screaming. It's time to dig him up. Rebuilding doesn't begin with adding things. It starts with destruction. You don't sculpt steel by hugging it. You forge it in fire and hammer it into form. You must burn your old self, the people pleaser, the pacifist, the passive ghost. Stop trying to fix yourself like you're broken. You are not broken, you are buried. So dig with rage. Rip apart the identity they stitched onto your skin. Make no apologies. This is resurrection by fire. Here's your first tactic, emotional detachment. You must stop reacting like a boy and start responding like a machine. They will poke at your ego, test your patience, weaponize your softness, but you give them nothing. Cold eyes, silent moves, calculated presence. You erase the version of you who needed to be liked. And in that silence, you begin crafting someone dangerous. Comment, power is the cure if you're ready to kill the version of you they controlled, because the man you're about to become doesn't knock on doors, he kicks them down without flinching. Number 2, the silent war begins. Real monsters don't roar, they wait, quietly, in the shadows, watching everything, calculating. The world taught you to be loud to feel heard, but real power doesn't need noise, it doesn't seek approval. It watches, learns, adapts, then strikes like it was always part of the plan. You're not in a race, you're in a war of attrition, and silence is your first weapon. Your invisibility is your armor. Use it. Stop announcing your moves. Stop proving yourself to people who will never respect the real you. They don't deserve your blueprint. They deserve to be blindsided by the final result. You disappear, not to run, but to reform. You vanish not out of fear, but out of force. Because real change happens when no one's watching. Not when you post it, not when you explain it, but when you suffer in private and sharpen in silence. This is the part they'll never understand. While they sleep, you calculate. While they chase comfort, you engineer cold dominance. While they speak, you listen, not to agree, but to profile. You're no longer one of them. You're not a civilian. You're a strategist preparing for an unseen war. Every ignored insult, every fake friend, every betrayal, you log it, store it, and let it add weight to the blade you're building. Here's your tactic. Disappear with purpose. No rage posts, no status updates. Cut your social ties like surgical scars. Make them wonder. Make them uncomfortable. The less they know, the more dangerous you become. In the silence, you upgrade, you study, you train, you earn, you build leverage. No validation, no pity, just patience. Weaponized. You are no longer healing, you are becoming lethal. Comment. Power is the cure if you're choosing silence over sympathy, because when this war ends, they won't recognize you, and worse, they'll regret ever doubting you. Number 3. Master the art of withholding. Power isn't loud, it's denied. In a world that overshares everything, their thoughts, their meals, their wounds, the most dangerous man is the one they can't read. When you withhold, you create tension, and tension is leverage. Mystery forces people to project their fears onto your silence. That's psychological warfare, and most will fold without a single blow. But you must earn that silence. You must train yourself to hold back. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your struggles, your plans, your presence. When they can't predict you, they can't prepare for you. That's how you control a room without saying a word. Speak less, reveal less, move less. Be seen rarely, but felt constantly. The less they know, the more they imagine. And imagination is a weapon that turns sheep into panicked prey. The weak crave expression. They seek validation through exposure. But you are done bleeding for applause. Your pain is now private. Your ambition, classified. The more you withhold, the more potent your impact becomes. Emotional control is domination. When they can't trigger you, they lose the ability to manipulate you. That's when power becomes permanent. Not temporary, not performative. Permanent. Here's your tactic. Become unreadable. Practice restraint like a monk, but carry intention like a mercenary. Let others fill silences with weakness. You sit inside it like a throne. Speak only when your words feel like a blade. Reveal only what multiplies your leverage. When they demand clarity, give them confusion. When they press, stay still. Your unpredictability becomes your signature, and unpredictability is what they fear most. Comment. Power is the cure if you're ready to go silent and strike smarter. Because when you stop being available, you start being dangerous. And in a world addicted to noise, silence becomes a loaded gun. Number 4. Weaponize your pain. Every scar is a loaded gun, but only if you stop worshipping the wound and start building the weapon. The pain you carry, the rejections, the betrayals, the shame, it can either rot you from the inside or forge you into something too sharp to touch. Weak men let pain define them. Dangerous men refine through it. They don't seek pity. They use every ounce of agony as fuel to dominate, not to heal. You think your pain made you fragile. Your reaction to pain made you fragile. What if I told you the worst things that ever happened to you were actually invitations to become colder, smarter, harder to control? The world doesn't care about what hurt you, but it will kneel to what you become because of it. That's the unspoken code of the strong. You don't cry out. You convert suffering into strategy. Look at your past like a vault of ammunition. Every humiliation becomes hunger. Every heartbreak becomes heat. Every failure becomes a weapon. You stop needing closure. You stop asking why. You stop waiting to be understood. Pain isn't personal, it's mechanical. It doesn't care about fairness, so you stop caring about fairness too. You channel it all into building the version of you that no one can touch without bleeding. Here's your tactic. Stop processing pain. Convert it. Turn emotion into motion. You were hurt. Train harder. Betrayed. Build faster. Mocked. Learn louder. The difference between weakness and dominance is what you do with the damage. Let them feel nothing from you but forward pressure, cold execution, focused progress. While they sit in therapy talking about you, you're out here becoming a storm they'll never survive. Comment, power is the cure. If your pain is now your permission to evolve. Because your scars aren't shameful, they're sacred blueprints. And the next time someone touches them, they'll feel steel underneath. Number 5. Command your own mind. You are your first battlefield, and right now, your thoughts are eating you alive. Doubt, fear, guilt, lust, regret. They sit on your shoulders, whispering weakness into your decisions. But let me say it clearly, a man who cannot control his own mind will never control anything outside of it. Your war is not with the world, it's with your own impulses, and most men lose because they're too soft on themselves to win. Your mind is either your command center or your prison. You don't rise by motivation, you rise by mastery. Mastery over urges, over reaction, over comfort. Your emotions were never meant to lead. They're just noise, data, static. Your discipline is the sword that cuts through that noise, but it must be forged through routine, ritual, and ruthless internal standards. Otherwise, you will always be a slave to mood. You want peace? Earn control. You want focus? Build it through suffering. You want clarity? Strip away the excuses you use to avoid it. Most men live distracted because they fear what their mind will reveal in silence. But you train your mind like a weapon. Cold, sharp, unflinching. Every weakness must be called out. Publicly or privately, it doesn't matter. You hold court with your flaws and execute each one. Here's your tactic: mental conditioning. Every morning, you audit your mind like an emperor inspects his army. No comfort until tasks are conquered. No escape from pain. You walk straight into it, command it, repurpose it. You learn to detach from outcome, from praise, from failure. You stop reacting, you start calculating. Once your thoughts obey you, no one can manipulate you because no one owns your triggers anymore. Comment, power is the cure if your mind will serve, not sabotage you. Because when your inner world bows to you, the outer world has no choice but to follow. Number 6. The cold rules of dominance. Be useful or be feared. That's the law. No one respects a man simply for being good. They respect him for what they'd lose if he walked away, or what they'd suffer if they crossed him. Stop expecting honor from people who only understand leverage. The world is transactional. You're either an asset or an afterthought. And if you're neither, you're a target. So ask yourself, who fears your absence? You think loyalty wins hearts? Number power does. Mystery does. Control does. Every man trying to be liked ends up forgotten. Dominance begins the moment you stop giving people unlimited access to you. Be scarce. Be deliberate. People treat abundance like garbage, but they worship what's rare. So, limit your presence, make your time expensive, and never chase those who expect you to lower your value. Respect isn't requested, it's created. You don't earn it by being loud or demanding it through emotion. You cultivate it through results, unpredictability, and the subtle threat that you do not need them. When people feel your independence, they hesitate. When they feel your distance, they reflect. When they feel your potential for cold silence, they start to respect boundaries they never used to see. Here's your tactic: perceived consequence. Don't bluff, build. Become a man who walks away without explaining. A man who listens, logs, then strikes when it's strategic, not emotional. You establish dominance not by barking, but by what happens when someone underestimates you. Let them laugh once, just once, and then let their memory of you be the moment everything changed. That's power. Comment, power is the cure if you're done being predictable and start being feared. Because in a world full of noise, the quiet one with leverage is the one they pray not to cross. Number 7. The mirror of the enemy. If you stare into the abyss, memorize it. Most men are too busy flinching from darkness to realize it's where all the power lives. You keep asking, why do people betray? As if understanding will protect you. It won't. You don't ask questions to feel better. You ask to see clearly. Your enemies are not mistakes, they are mirrors. And if you know how to look, they'll reveal exactly what you need to become. You want power? Learn to observe without emotion. Watch how the liars move, how the manipulators talk, how the fake loyalists always find the right time to vanish. Study them like war generals study maps, not to imitate their weakness, but to understand how to defend and then dominate. Your pain wasn't for nothing. Your betrayal wasn't random. It was research. You just weren't paying attention. Most people want to be understood, but you want to be underestimated. You want to become so calm, so composed, that even the snakes forget you know their language. That's when you move. When they think you've forgiven. When they think you've forgotten. When they sleep on your silence, that's when you strike. Never rage, never react. Just replicate their tactics and sharpen them. Here's your tactic. Dark empathy. Step into their mindset. Ask what they fear, not what they want. What they need to believe to drop their guard. What patterns they repeat when they think you're not watching. Then use it. Learn their rhythm, then disrupt it. Become their reflection, but colder, smarter, silent, longer. No emotion, just execution. You don't destroy enemies with anger. You destroy them with precision. Comment, power is the cure if you're ready to study the ones who tried to bury you, because when you master their patterns, you become their punishment. And the man who sees the dark clearly can walk through hell untouched. Number 8. Build an empire of one. Loyalty is for dogs. Build leverage, because the minute you need someone, you lose control. Harsh? Good. Weak men call this lonely. Strong men call it freedom. You weren't put here to beg for help. You were put here to become the help you never got. They taught you to rely on systems, on family, on love, on handouts, but everything external is temporary. If it can leave, it will. If it can betray you, it eventually will. So build alone. This world doesn't belong to the loudest man. It belongs to the most independent. When you rely on no one, you answer to no one. That's when people start to fear you. Not because you're violent, but because you're untouchable. No one controls you. No one owns your emotions, your finances, your focus. You operate above it all. You become a force with no leash, no master, no weak point they can press. You want to be free? Then multiply your weapons. Learn relentlessly. Build ruthlessly. Stack skills that print money in silence. Study psychology, strategy, negotiation, human behavior. Get fit. Get smart, get dangerous, not so you can flex, so you can walk away from any situation and still thrive. That's the power no one can fake. That's the kind of power that echoes even after you're gone. Here's your tactic. Radical self-sufficiency. Kill the need for reassurance. Kill the need for praise. Kill the need for someone to pick up the slack. If the job needs doing, you do it. If the answer isn't there, you find it. You build systems, not excuses. You build skills, not stories. You build foundations, not fantasies. You build an empire where you are the infrastructure. And when the world burns, you're still standing. Comment, power is the cure if you're done asking for a seat and ready to build the whole damn table. Because the man who needs nothing rules everything. And when they realize they have no leverage over you, they will kneel or vanish. Number 9. Strike without warning. Talk soft, hit like a warhead. The world expects you to move like everyone else, loud, predictable, desperate for attention. But real power, it doesn't beg to be seen. It doesn't seek applause. It lurks beneath calm eyes and slow steps, building tension like a storm about to crack the sky open. You don't posture, you prepare. You don't hint, you hit. And when you strike, you leave nothing standing. Most men lose because they telegraph their next move. They rant online, they argue over crumbs, they scream into the void just to feel alive. But the man who moves in silence, he controls the board. No warning, no signs, just precision, just violence when it matters. Silence is the camouflage, timing is the trigger. And when both align, the world never sees it coming until it's too late to run. You want dominance? Then learn to withhold your wrath until it's mature. You don't react emotionally. You plot. You let their insults pass. You let them mock. Let them laugh. Let them believe you're still healing. Meanwhile, you're studying their routines, weaknesses, tells. You're calculating the moment to break the pattern, and when you do, it feels like divine punishment. But it's not divine, it's designed. Here's your tactic: weaponized timing. Never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. Never waste energy proving you're ready. Read the terrain, study the opponent, strike only when it matters. And when you strike, don't stop. Be overkill, be overwhelming, be the moment they realize underestimating you was the last decision they'll ever make with confidence. That's the kind of fear that doesn't leave. You move like a ghost. Then you appear like a god of consequence. It doesn't take constant action, it takes perfect action. That's how empires are seized. That's how reputations are carved. You build in shadows, you wait in silence, and then one day, you're unavoidable. Not because you talked, but because they felt the impact and never even saw your hand. Comment: power is the cure if you're done warning people who won't survive your rise, because real dominance doesn't shout, it whispers, then detonates. Number 10. Become the storm. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to take over. You've been playing quiet, humble, small, like the world would hand you something for good behavior. It won't. They don't respect silence unless it feels like a threat. You want to know why they overlook you? Because your presence doesn't make them nervous yet. That ends now. You're not here to blend in. You're here to walk in like a storm they never saw coming. Storms don't announce themselves. They change the temperature of a room. You become the storm not by being violent, but by being inevitable. Your presence alone should alter the atmosphere. Your silence should be felt, not ignored. Your stare should make people question their confidence. That kind of power isn't created in public. It's built in isolation, through discipline, war strategy, and emotional control so sharp it scares comfort to death. To become the storm, you must detach from needing to be liked. You must erase softness that serves no purpose. This doesn't mean cruelty. It means clarity. You are not emotional. You are deliberate. Every word, every step, every delay is calculated. Because you're not here to impress. You're here to impose. The man who becomes the storm doesn't chase peace. He replaces it, and people adapt or disappear. You want the world to follow your lead? Then your energy must become undeniable. Stop talking so much. Speak less, say more. Let your tone feel like a final decision. Hold eye contact until they look away first. Move like time is expensive, because it is. Be slow to trust, fast to walk. Don't argue, don't warn, don't prove. Just become undeniable. And when they finally feel it, it's already too late. Here's your final tactic: presence through poise. This is cold charisma, power without volume, confidence without noise. When you walk, carry weight. When you speak, control pace. When you're silent, stay silent. Give nothing for free. Not your energy, your time, or your mind. You don't need to be the loudest. You need to be the one they remember. The one whose silence sounded like a goddamn warning siren. You've rebuilt yourself in the dark, sharpened your edges while they slept, and now, you don't show up with potential. You show up complete. They won't recognize you. They'll feel you. You don't ask for space. You dominate it. You don't look for permission. You take what aligns. And if they resist, let the thunder answer for you. Comment: power is the cure if this is who you've been becoming in silence. And if this series woke something that's been waiting, then live like it. Walk like it. Because from this point forward, you're not reacting to life. You're reconstructing it. If this hit you, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because we are not here to heal quietly. We are here to rise in silence.